Lighter has proven himself over and over again to be one of the best units to pull for your account. Be it Miyabi, Evelyn or now Hugo, so far every Eyes of Fire unit released just craved for Lighter as one option for their best in slot teams. Well, outside Miyabi that is, and with that Lighter just keeps winning. So in this updated guide for Lighter, let's talk about his kit and how he plays, his best weapons, disk drives and disk drive sets, his combos, his main and substats, his teams and Mindscapes, and lastly, let's also talk about his pros and cons. Welcome! I am Rivenous, and this is your complete, updated, in-depth guide to Lighter. Lighter is a fire-type stun agent who excels not only at providing great amounts of daze, but also providing an insane amount of buffs for your carry. However, these buffs come at a small cost as they are restricted to ice and fire, as well as partially being locked behind his additional core passive. So let's first cover his kit. Because his kit is an entire essay of words for something which can be expressed just a little bit simpler, let's simplify what he does. Lighter features his unique resource called Moral, which not only fills up passively every second, but also whenever any squad member consumes energy. Moral maxes out at 100 points, and whenever he has 80 or more during his 5th basic attack, Lighter enters the Moral burst states, which frankly allows him to just punch the shit out of his enemies. These hits will then consume Moral, and for every 10 points of Moral consumed, his impact will increase by 2% for up to 6 seconds, with a maximum increase of 20%. Furthermore, hitting an enemy during the Moral burst state will also reduce their ice and fire resistance by 15%, and if his additional core is active, every hit will also grant a stack of elation to all squad members, with each stack increasing their ice and fire damage dealt by 1.25%. This value is further boosted if Lighter has 170 or more impact and can stack up to 20 times, which means Lighter grants up to 75% ice and fire damage bonus to the team. However, to actually gain the maximum of 75%, we are looking at 270 impact, and not many weapons can actually reach that value for him, but more on that later during the team section. After finishing his jabs, he will then follow up with a finishing move, which will then also extend the stun duration of the enemy by 3 seconds. However, it should be noted that these 3 seconds are not actually an extension of the enemy stun window, but instead a pause, which is applied before the enemy stun timer ticks down. Whether or not his stun pause is active is indicated by the enemy stun meter having a golden outline. Lastly, in regards to his core passive, if he has 80 Moral or higher, if he is switched in, he will immediately launch a quick assist. Also, to actually gain elation, Lighter requires either a Caledon or attack type character. Aside from his core passive, which really is the most important part of Lighter, he also has his chain attack, an ultimate, his special, assist follow-up, defensive assist, quick assist, dodge, dodge counter, and of course his dash attack. And they all do what they are supposed to do, so I will not talk about them any further, although I will quickly touch upon a few of them during the combo section later on. His EX special can be cast twice, once at the cost of 40 energy and once at the cost of 20 energy as a direct follow-up to his first EX cast. Lastly, for Lighter's basic attacks, he features a 5-part basic attack string as well as an alternative 5-part basic attack string, which can be switched between by attempting to move. That means either your controller's joystick or by pressing WASD. His 5th basic attack consists of 3 parts, a startup, a combo and a finisher. As already mentioned before, if Lighter's Moral is 80 or higher, his 5th basic attack combo is enhanced, and during the Moral burst state that will also grant him 80% damage reduction and an increased anti-interrupt level. Overall, his kit honestly sounds much more complicated than it actually is in practice, so let's talk about his combos. Let's begin with his quick assist, assist follow-up, EX special and dodge counter, because they have one important aspect to them which I have not actually mentioned yet. Pressing or holding the basic attack button right after using them will have Lighter immediately follow up with his basic 5. This becomes especially important when he has 80 or more moral, and that means our first and most important combo will be either quick assist follow-up, EX special or dodge counter into basic 5, into the enhanced basic 5 moral burst combo, and then into his basic 5 powerful finisher. We should attempt to spend all moral we have, and this will not only inflict a good amount of daze, but also grant us up to 75% fire and ice damage bonus, 15% fire and ice resistance threat, and a 3-second stun timer pause, and if you also have his signature, an additional 30% fire and ice crit damage bonus. Or in other words, your carry will now do a shitload more damage. For his quick assist specifically, if he has 80 or more moral, the combo results in switch in lighter, then into his quick assist, into basic 5 combo during his moral state, and then into the enhanced powerful basic 5 finisher. While lighter can be played more as a quick swap stunner, mainly making use of exactly this combo, we can also play him on field, in which case we want to make sure to utilize his dodge counter into basic 5 as much as possible, even if we do not have full moral, as both his dodge counter as well as his standard basic 5 have a good amount of daze application. As for his skill priority, because he is a stunner and the accessibility of impact and daze is somewhat limited due to either not being available as substats in the case of impact, or kind of being limited to weapons only in the case of daze, we want to make sure to level his skills as much as we can due to the additional daze scaling provided. Furthermore, we want to make sure to get the most out of his buffs, and that leaves his skill priority at core skill and basics, into chain, EX special and assist, into dodge. The more you on-field lighter, the more important dodge becomes. As for his weapons, his signature Blazing Laurel is his best in slot in terms of overall value when looking at both damage and daze as well as team damage, due to the 30% crit damage buffs for ice and fire damage. Jingyi's signature Ice J Teapot can be about even with his signature when looking at daze, and both Lycon's signature, the Restrained, as well as Collider's signature Hellfire Gears are fine options as well. However, both are lacking damage buffs to the team. Fossil is a great free-to-play option for Deadly Assault when looking only at daze, providing a nearly 100% uptime for the first 20,000 points, but falls off later after that, and as well as being weaker in Shiyu defense and Steam Oven and 6 shooter are fine options as well. As you might have noticed, and this honestly is pretty important, there are 2 columns for impact and his elation bonus specifically, which indicates how much impact you can achieve during his moral burst state, as well as the fire and ice damage bonus you can obtain depending on the weapon. Elation maxes out at 270 impact, which means any weapon below that will not grant you the full 75% damage bonus to the team. Please take that into consideration when choosing your weapon. Daze is not necessarily everything when it comes to lighter. For his disk drive sets, for maximum daze output, a 4-piece Shockstar Disco is his best in slot, but depending on the enemy, your team, and also of course your playstyle, a more team damage oriented option such as a 4-piece Swing Jazz, Protopunk or even Astral Voice are solid options as well, and you are effectively trading 8% less daze for higher team damage. If these 8% daze do not lead to another stun window, going for a more damage oriented option is preferable. For his 2-piece options, I would either recommend a 2-piece Woodpecker if you are running 4-piece Shockstar, or a 2-piece Shockstar Disco if you are going for a more offensive 4-piece option. As for his main stats, we are looking at impact in slot 6 and either fire damage, pen ratio or attack percent in slot 5, depending on your team. Fire damage is the best generic option, with attack percent being viable in teams with less or no attack buffs, and pen ratio usually being close or winning out even in specific teams, often when paired with Lycorn or Astra. For slot 4, I would recommend crit rate for crit teams and anomaly proficiency when paired with anomaly units such as Miyabi or Bernice. For his substat priority, we want to prioritize either crit values and attack percent over flat attack or flat pen for the crit teams, and anomaly proficiency and attack percent over flat attack and flat pen for anomaly teams. Regardless of the team, however, crit values and attack percent are never wasted stats, and you can always be happy when you get them. If you are looking to upgrade your lighter, you might want to consider his Mindscapes. His Mindscape 1 increases the stun pause duration from 3 to 5 seconds, increases the res shred provided by yet another 10%, and also increases the damage dealt by his last finishing move by 30%. Overall, a very solid Mindscape when looking at team damage. His M2 now also increases the stun damage multiplier by 25% and increases the maximum ice and fire damage bonus from Elation to a maximum of 90%, which is yet another great boost to team damage. M3 and M5 exist and are his only other option for increasing his daze output. His M4 is honestly pretty good as well, as the additional energy for your teammates can be pretty valuable, but it is also pretty hard to evaluate on a sheet, which is why it doesn't look that great here. His M6 is a big damage boost as expected. I would recommend his Mindscape 1 over his signature and then his Mindscape 2, as his M2 wants to hit as close to 270 impact as possible to actually also gain the most out of the increased elation. Since November last year, we have gotten a lot of new agents and 4 of them have been turning out to be great partners for Lighter, namely Miyabi, Astra, Evelyn and now Hugo. As per usual, there are more teams than shown here on screen, so please leave an angry comment about that and let us know about your favorite character I forgot to show here. Lighter is a premium option for Miyabi teams, but this team is somewhat restricted by their core passives, as Miyabi wants either a support or faction character, and Lighter requires an attack or faction character, in this case Caledon. Lucy is the best choice here without giving up their additional core passives. Lighter is also the premium choice for Collider haters and pairs extremely well with Evelyn, even more so when paired with Astra. Astra allows for more quick assists and those directly go into his basic 5, which is great for some quick days. Alan also makes good use of Lighter, and Lycon or Caesar pair great with this team as well. Soldier 11 loves Lighter due to providing her with a much needed damage boost, while also leaving a lot of room for the 3rd slot, and Hugo appreciates Lighter a lot as well, due to the stun pause from Lighter, which allows for a smooth 2-chain rotation on Hugo without giving up any totalized damage. If you happen to also play on-field crit knees, well, Lighter is great for her as well, but I would not recommend it for an anomaly proficiency Bernice. Lastly, for his pros and cons. Lighter is a relatively easy to play stunner who also provides a great deal of damage amplification to the team. However, these damage boosts are somewhat restricted by his 270 impact breakpoint, which are hard to hit unless you are running his signature. Speaking of weapons, purely looking at daze, he has however other good options available, even if these are lacking behind in terms of team damage. Lighter has also proven himself a staple for ice and fire agents, often being the best choice for these units. His Mindscapes don't do much for his daze frankly, but instead increase team damage by quite a bit. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Zenless Zone Zero content. I appreciate all of you and I wish you a great day. Peace.